In order to actually see results, you need to know both information and application because information plus application equals transformation. When it comes to our physical health goals, we need to know what to do and actually do it to see results. In today's episode, myself, Alex, we are going to do a case study and I'm going to be the athlete. And Trevor here he is going to coach me on what I need to know and how to actually do it. Information plus application equals transformation. Welcome to the HOLO HLTH podcast.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We're diving into today's episode, and just like Alex mentioned, doing a little role play conversation with a coach and an athlete here. Just as he mentioned, everybody wants to see transformation when it comes to your health. Specifically, as of late, we've been talking a lot about strength and cardiovascular training. We've talked a little bit about nutrition, but specifically in today's conversation and episode, we're going to dive into exercise and nutrition in the context of Alex, the athlete, what his goals are. We're going to talk about that, which you may have some commonalities or similarities with. And then we're going to talk about, as the coach, I'm going to essentially have conversation with him about what he needs to understand when it comes to exercise and nutrition and how he can apply those things specifically to his life so he can start seeing transformation. Super excited for this one, Alex. So you ready to dive in, big guy?
Let's go. My name is going to be Ted. That's my name today.
Ted. All right, here we go. Ted, this is Trevor with HOLO HLTH, man. It's so good to finally meet you in person, and would love to just start off a conversation by hearing a little bit more on what you've been doing, what prompted you to come in the door and want to have this conversation with me, and where we're trying to head, my man.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. I just turned 40 and I've realized that I got to do something about my health now. Um, I used to be active back in the day, but I mean, just with work and family and schedules and I'm just so busy that I haven't done stuff in a while. So I'm just really looking to get my health back in the swing of things. Um, I used to be active, like I said, but I haven't really done much exercise now. I'm a software engineer, and I have 3 kids, and constantly running them back and forth. But I'm honestly just looking to lose a little bit of weight. Would love to kind of see the scale go down 10 pounds, but also increase the muscle, but just feel good in general. And yeah, just kind of get back in the swing of things and establish some healthy habits. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
That's awesome. Ted, I appreciate you sharing that context. I've got a few additional questions just based on the thoughts that you shared. In terms of, been, exercise before and, maybe that isn't something that's super consistent right now. Tell me a little bit more about what that did look like. And then has there been anything as of late? If so, what's that been?
Yeah, to be honest, nothing lately, or at least over the past several years. I'm kind of thinking back to when I was in college. After classes, I would just go to the gym and hit your standard chest and tries, back and bodies, lower body. And I'd probably be in the gym for 2, 3 hours, just hanging out, taking uh, supplements, having a good time. And man, I was just so big, and I loved that. But I, I'm not about that anymore. I just kind of want to. I'm not worried about being so big anymore. I just want to look good, and feel good, and um, um, probably do it in about 30 to 60 minutes. That's probably as much time as I got.
Yeah, that's great. When during the day would you have that time?
Oh, the mornings, afternoons always just pick up with meetings or kids' schedules, run them around. So I'd like to be a morning guy. I don't really wake up, but it's a habit to start. So um, I'm probably thinking like a 6 o'clock, a 7 o'clock time frame that I'd have to get it done.
Yeah. And is it something that you feel comfortable kind of managing yourself, or do you want some guidance in that area from myself as a coach?
Yeah, I definitely need some guidance. I'm someone who I've done the New Year's resolutions, I've done the diets, I've done the 75 cards where I do it and then I stop. And
Yeah.
I'm just kind of looking for something to just be more sustainable.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And when it comes to context of what we're talking about with exercise here, it's awesome that you are wanting to get back into it. That's great. We're going to build some rhythms. And our focus is really pursuing guys design health. That's why, what we talked about on the phone and how we unpack that conversation. And part of that is stewarding our bodies really well. And that's understanding what forms of exercise are going to bring the greatest value with the time that you do have. And so when it comes to exercise, I'm more than capable and happy to really unpack how that's going to look for us. Ultimately, we're going to have a mixed bag of functional movement. Think about your squatting, your pressing, your pulling from the floor, something like squats, your bench press or shoulder press, your deadlifts, all of these like functional movements. Think about how outside the gym you're doing some version of those movements as well. And then in terms of what I like to call kind of fitness or cardiovascular fitness, we're just going to get out of breath for a little bit. And there's some different ways to do that. It doesn't mean you're going to be running all the time. It doesn't mean that you're going to be training for a marathon or anything. But the way that I'm going to write those workouts are going to be a balance of the two. And what that's going to do is not only help you get a lot of value in your short amount of time at the gym, but it's going to help you feel better outside the gym, just like you want. And when we're building this habit of consistency, it's going to bring the results in the mirror that you're actually wanting as well. How does that sound? Any questions on that
Yeah, no,
outline?
I mean that sounds great. I mean, first off, I'm thinking about time, and that 30, 60 minutes is great.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define like, am I doing like weights every day and then I do cardio the next day? Am I doing both each day? Like, how do I know you'll kind of give me this stuff, but just like, what does it actually look like day to day?
Yeah, day to day, it's going to look a little bit different because I'm writing that for you. I want to be able to write some days that will just have strength components to it. Okay, so let's just take a back squat, for example. Some days you're going to do like your primary focus of the workout is going to be to warm up super well and to hit the back squat. And maybe you do some core or single leg accessory movements that I'll write in and provide the instructional videos for, but it's going to be that primary focus. And then maybe the
Okay.
next day, it's really going to be focused on the fitness, the cardiovascular fitness side. So we're going to go in and we're going to row and follow some rowing intervals. And then maybe the next day, we're going to be focused on a little bit of a lighter weight, but it's a combination of trying to, move at a consistent pace and combine all of that, so it's not necessarily lifting
Yeah.
heavy or moving quickly separately, but kind of the combination of the two. And what that does is it allows a lot of variance to happen in the body to recover and see different stimulus throughout the week, but it's still structured, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a plan that I'm building that's structured, follows a cadence of progression, but also ticks the box, if you will, of variance that is needed to increase fitness inside and outside the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard you got to confuse the muscles. So, I mean, that sounds good. I think the only thing I'm thinking about is like, yeah, I'll do the workouts and I love them. What if I don't know what exercise it is? It says like a something pole, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, how do I figure it out?
Super, super common question that we get. And, in the context of our coaching relationship, I'm not going to be with you when you're doing those movements. And so I'm going to provide you with links to videos that demonstrate that
Okay.
movement. My encouragement as we're starting out is, and a clarification as we're starting out, the movements that we're going to choose are not going to be complex movements, but you're going to have to look at them to make sure that you understand what you're doing and how to try to move well. Okay. And a big
Okay.
part of the beginning stages of this coaching relationship on the exercise piece, which we're talking about now, and the nutrition piece, which we'll talk about in just a minute, is you can't just assume you're going to understand things because you have a coach. There is an autonomy that needs to be assumed of learning the information, learning how to do something and applying that. What does that look like for me to do this squat? What does the back
Yeah.
squat look like? Watching a video. I'm going to send the video that has points of performance, which are things to think about. Okay. make sure the knees are tracking out over the toes, trying to get as deep as you can. So some of the things like that, you're going to get in those videos, but there needs to be there needs to be this autonomy that you have in, I'm going to own my responsibility of learning what Trevor is providing me, because I'm going to be able to do it better by assuming that responsibility. If I'm with you, Ted, then it's a different dynamic. I don't need to send those videos. I can literally teach you in front, demonstrate movements, have you
Yeah.
do them, and correct things.
Yeah.
But there's going to have to be this autonomy. And again, that's going to be more focused on building good movement rather than I'm going to lift the heaviest possible. As Trevor said, do 5 heavy squats. Heavy is relative, but it's really focused on building the correct movement patterns and understanding what an exercise is. But I just want to clarify, I'm not going to add anything complex in there. Starting out, it should be very simple, functional movements, just like we said right there. Nothing too crazy.
Trevor, how many days a week am I going to do this? Do you recommend?
That's a great question, Alex. I want to unpack that with you because I want that to be something that we work on together. You're building this habit again, right? So I just want us to start with 2 to 3 days a week. And I want us to build the consistency of going to the gym or wherever we're going to be doing those exercises 2 to 3 days a week. We're going to reduce the complexity. We're going to start at 30 minutes and we're going to make it super simple. You said you have 30 to 60 minutes. There's going to be a good warm-up process, a good cool-down process, and maybe 1 to 2 movements. It's going to seem super simple, but we're going to build the identity and consistency of getting in the gym. Now, when it comes to movement outside of the gym, that's going to be something that we're going to shoot for every day. And we're also going to build some consistency there. You talked about working in software. I'm sure, a lot of that is remote work, but we're going to talk about what movement can look like outside of the gym. And so, yes, I'm going to prescribe you and give you exercise, specifically what you can be doing, but we're also going to prescribe movement outside of the gym too, because that's a big component. It's just 1 hour or 30 minutes of the day. We've got, 23 and a half other hours in a day that matter just as much, if not way more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like getting steps in, or like, what do you mean by movement?
Yeah. So your steps are going to be a big factor on that, but really it's just trying to look for opportunities to move your body more. Steps are a big component of it. But additionally, it's standing when you can. It's looking for opportunities to, what we like to say is omit the sit. Every environment is primed to sit, right? You sit at your desk probably. And if you don't intentionally schedule when you're going to stand or maybe a short walk, you could just sit there for 8 hours a day, right? So, and that is going to lead to a lot of kind of slow decline of the body's ability. And so we're going to increase our steps, but we're really just going to try to stand more, move a little bit more throughout the day. And primarily that's going to come through walking throughout the day.
Cool. So sounds good. What else?
So to recap before we dive into nutrition, the important things to remember are we're going to prioritize functional movement and we're going to prioritize fitness, some sort of getting the heart rate up, which I'm going to be writing for you. But broadly, for the listeners, kind of zooming into this conversation as we're unpacking this before transitioning here. So I'm zooming out, no longer talking to Ted, talking to the listeners, is the information is Ted needs to understand that functional movement is going to be the biggest bang for his buck with a short amount of time. And some component of getting his heart rate up is going to also be the same thing. That does not have to happen in the same day. They can happen in the same day or on separate days. The reason that we're starting with 2 to 3 days and about 30 minutes and super low complexity is because Ted is getting back into training and exercise. And so he doesn't need to be prescribed to go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. We're going to get there, but we're not starting there. We're starting with 2 to 3 days in the gym, 30 minutes. He's going to have a long warm up, probably 12, 15 minutes. And he's going to have literally one focus probably for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks at the gym. It's going to be back squats, some sort of deadlift, some sort of press. And then I'll mix in, maybe how that looks in terms of fitness as well. So it's just going to be really reduced complexity so that he can apply that easily, start exercising, and change the identity a little bit from someone who hasn't consistently done that to someone who does do that and knows how to do that on a short time frame. That's going to help him start to see body changes in the mirror, even just 2 to 3 days of him going into the gym. Now we're going to dive into the conversation of the nutrition side of things. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, this is Alex now, not Ted.
Not Ted.
Everything Trevor said is spot on with information and application as far as like how to do it, when to do it. The only thing I would add in terms of the exercise conversation, which I have a lot in my coaching conversations, is the secret is not in the program. The secret is in the consistency. That if you stick to the plan works. If you stick to the plan, it's like, hey, we will write you, we will give you, we will help you, we will guide you on specific exercise and fitness applications. But here's the thing, if you are moving your body effectively and efficiently, you will see results. You will see change. So it's honestly, we can write you the absolute perfect program, but if it's only done moderately, infrequently, intermittently, it's not going to work. But it's honestly the thing, Trevor, that personally for Alex and Trevor that has helped is we have worked out probably 4 to 6 days a week for years. And it's just building that identity, building that bank of like, okay, this is not only creating the identity of I am a healthy person, but it's the days that I miss, it's okay because I'm consistently doing it week in and week out. So the magic is in the consistency. So it's application is huge when it comes to exercise.
Yeah, and not to berate this, I actually think we're going to do a part 2 next week with Ted on nutrition. So we're going to make sure that we hit this exercise piece super, super clearly for you guys. And it's great. Like that's an example of what a call would look like with a HOLO Health coach, with a one-on-one coach. And you can come to the coaching. The coaching is not just, we're going to write you workouts. The coaching is to teach you how to balance every area of your health so that you can see changes in the mirror and experience inner peace. It's to align your behaviors with God's design. So movement and exercise is just one part of it, but it's typically the one that gets people in the door, if that makes sense. Like, I want to start looking better, so I'm going to exercise. But when it comes to information application transformation, Alex is spot on. Consistency is way more important than following a perfect program. Perfect programs don't exist. The program that is aligned with your goals is what does exist.
That's good.
So if Ted is telling me that he wants to lose 10 pounds, but also just feel stronger inside and outside the gym, and he used that terminology, he used that language, I'm not going to tell him to go run 5 days a week. That doesn't align with his goals. Can running be part of what he does? Of course it can.
Absolutely.
It should be, but that does not align with his goals. He's not going to feel better inside and outside the gym if he's not in the gym. He's not going to, he might lose 10 pounds. You might lose 10 pounds just simply because you're moving more. But is your goal to lose 10 pounds? Or is your goal to build a body you're confident in that does see a decrease in weight, but really it looks and feels good both in and outside the gym, which is what most people want. And so that's why I didn't say, hey, you're going to run 5 days a week. We're going to hop on that treadmill and we're going to get it moving. Man. We got to drop that weight. That's not the goal. That's not the prescription. And that's where working with a coach is important. But here in the context of exercise is the information piece. Whatever your goal is, you need to align the exercise modality, which just means the version or form of exercise that you're doing needs to align with the goal. And you need to start smaller than larger. That's why almost all New Year's resolutions are going to flop. Getting back in the gym 5-6 days a week. Let's go. You know, that's what he's going to do. And it's not going to work. Right. And so that's why we're looking at shorter amount of days, shorter amount of time. He told me how much time he has. I asked him when he's going to do it. That's an important thing, right? Because you need to understand when you're going to do it and schedule that in the calendar. That's just part of building consistency, right? If you don't know when you're going to do something and what that application looks like, you're not going to do it. Maybe some days you do it, But that's a huge part in helping individuals build healthy habits. And this goes for every habit of the 7 habits of health. This is just contextualized right here for
Right.
exercise specifically. Alex, any thoughts on that as well?
Here's a value of the coach and what's unique to true health coaching is, like you said, this is 1/7 of the pie. One unique attribute is you don't do this alone. That when you say, hey, we're going to do it 2, 3 days a week, your coach is saying, hey, did you do it 2 to 3 days a week? Your accountability changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's information plus application, but that's on you. But when you have a group of people or a coach asking you about your information plus application, that's when you're actually going to see transformation. So the accountability piece you're going to get, but then also is we're going to make sure that we practice what we preach, and that some people have an issue of putting the gas pedal too far down, and they go 5 to 6 days a week at the expense of their other habits, because the goal of living a truly healthy life is optimizing health in every area. Yes, we can optimize our physical health, but how is that affecting our relationships? How's it affecting our sleep? How's it affecting our service and love and empowerment for others? So that coach is also going to ask you, what are these tensions you need to manage? What are our blind spots? Where else do we need to focus today? What areas of health do we need to optimize today? So it's it's what I like to say, a three-legged stool: your body, your mind, and your soul. We constantly have to figure out which one needs focus, because we want to be balanced. We don't want to be on that wobbly stool. And obviously exercise is a piece to the body element, but it's not the only thing. It's not the only piece. So that's what makes this a little bit different, is we're going to make sure it's biblically sounding back to science and scripture, but we're going to make sure that you actually get your butt in and do it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. And the coaching details are going to be put inside of the show notes down at the bottom. But next week, we're going to talk specifically about the nutrition side of things. But for you listeners, if in the context of exercises, if this is something, if you're like, man, I want to get back into it, or even the movement piece, let me just give both of those examples, is take inventory of what the goal is, take inventory of the application, right? Are my exercise habits and my movement habits, I mentioned that to Ted as well, are they aligned with the goals? And choose one or both of them to adjust if that's needed to align with the
Yeah.
goals, right? And I'm a big proponent in terms of strength training to focus on the big compound movements. We kind of talked about that recently, but your squat, that could be a back squat, it could be a front squat, it could be a goblet squat, but you're squatting in some fashion. Deadlift, that could be with a barbell, it could be with dumbbells, but you're pulling something from the floor. Bench press and shoulder press are presses. You can do either of those. Those are your big functional movements, right?
Yeah.
You do all of those outside the gym. The biggest bang for your buck is going to come with those movements. And then from there, just try to get out of breath. Do rowing
Yep.
intervals, do running intervals, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. Do
Jump rope,
some
burpees,
jump
box
rope.
jump,
Yeah, I mean,
lightweight dumbbell circuits. Yeah.
there's so many versions of what you can do. And to help you with this, we've created 2 resources that honestly will take this information piece and make it really clear, and then give you a guide on how to apply it, both on the movement exercise piece and the nutrition piece, which again, we're going to do that case study next week with Ted. But these are going to be linked in the show notes below. There's 2 things. The first is going to be, we created 40 recipes and workouts. 40 workouts and recipes. I mean, 40 of them, 40 each, not just 20, 20, 40, 40, 80 total things. The workouts include an at-home or minimal equipment option, and then they also include a full equipment access option. That's 3 different options. Well, two to 3 different options depending on what the workout is. 40 that you have access to, go to, you can keep, you can save it, bookmark it, screenshot it, never miss it. And then the recipes have 8 breakfast, 8 lunch, 8 dinner, 8 snacks, and then 8 common restaurants to eat out at, recipes for each of those areas. This is just to reduce any friction, to make the information part easier, so that the application part is Easy, consistent. It's something that you can keep doing. That's linked in the show notes below if you want to grab that guide. Additionally, this next guide is the one that we're going to hit. I mean, you need to grab this. If you are struggling to build consistent habits around movement and nutrition, this guide is literally exactly what you need. Alex,
Yeah,
here's what it does. Ted should know this too. Is
I'll tell him.
it is focused on building a plan for you that works for your season of life. So what we did is we created an outline that you will follow to build a personalized plan on how can I eat clean and how can I move often. And then you put that in the context of your life. And by the end of it, you literally have a plan that you've written and determined for yourself on how you're going
Yeah,
to do both of those things so that you can make them automatic, so that you can like what you see in the mirror and love the inner peace you feel. We talk about all the time, health is more than physical, but these two things are keystone habits. That's why they're two of the 7 habits of health. And this plan builder is literally what you need. You don't need more tips. You don't need more advice. You need a plan. So go into the show notes and grab this plan right now. Go stop the episode and go grab it, because it's going to help you start to build automatic habits around your nutrition movement.
Trevor, where can I go grab it?
Well, you're going to go to the show notes to grab it right now. That's the easiest way to go grab it. Or if you're feeling really good, you can go to the HOLO HLTH website. You can go holohealth.com/plan builder. holohealth.com/plan builder. That's it. And you can download it right there. You can also get it on our Instagram. But again, this is a plan builder specific to you. You're making it. And we've got more content coming around how to build a plan for each habit of the 7 habits of health, all to help you become truly healthy, which is what Jesus wants for you. Listeners, we hope that you got a lot from today's conversation with me and Alex, and then also our good friend Ted, who will make another appearance next week. Exercise was all about today, what that looks like in a coaching conversation, contextualized for his goals. And then we're going to pick back up in that conversation for part 2 around nutrition next week. We'll see you in the next episode.
You're a legend.